Hello and welcome to the lesson on making generalizations. Today we will be looking at defining what exactly generalizations are. We will also be discussing validity when looking at generalizations. We'll look at a sample in reading and then we'll send you back to your teacher for any questions you may have. So, for a definition, a generalization is a general rule drawn from looking at specific facts or characteristics of a set of objects and figuring out what they have in common. Here you can see three different pictures of three different objects. What would you say is a generalization about these three objects? Most people are going to come back and say that these are all a type of fruit. We have bananas, oranges, and apples. And even though they are different types of fruit, they all fall into the same category as fruit. They are something that we can peel, something that has seeds in the middle, something that has a soft, fleshy interior that we like to eat. So these are all fruits. So a generalization is two parts. The first part is that we need to look at the group of objects and come up with the specific common details of that group of objects. If we find specific common details, then we can add them to our previous experiences with other groups of this object and come up with a guess or generalization that assumes similarity among all of this type of object. Generalizations can be valid or invalid, meaning they can be true or false. This is something that's really important to keep in mind. If a generalization is valid, it is well supported by facts, experience, and logic. However, if a generalization is invalid, it is not supported by all of the facts. Experience and logic tell us that it cannot be true. So here are a couple examples. I want you to think about these and then answer in the questions that come up. Are these valid or invalid, true or false generalizations? So the first one, everyone loves pizza. The second one, malls sell shoes and clothing. For the third one, all schools are made of bricks. And for our last one, all birds have wings. Most of you probably got all of these right. The keywords that we're looking for here that tell us whether a generalization is valid or invalid are right in here. We have the first one. It says everyone loves pizza. This is assuming that every single person on earth loves pizza, where in fact there are probably plenty of people who have never even had pizza, and there are probably many people here in our own country, in our own state, in your own town, maybe even in our own class, who do not in fact love pizza. They might not even like pizza at all. So that one word, everyone, is our key word that tells us this is an invalid. It is a false generalization. Let's look at the second one. Malls sell shoes and clothing. Now, there's no keyword here. There's no everyone. There's no all. So we can assume, knowing from our own experience, if you've ever been to a mall, most malls do sell shoes and clothing. So the implied meaning here is that most malls sell shoes and clothing. You might say that the implied meaning is all, but since the word is not there, that makes this statement a valid statement. This is a valid generalization. Let's look at the third one. All schools are made of bricks. This should be an easy one for you guys since you're in a cyber school, and you know that our school, in fact, is not made of bricks. So all schools are made of bricks. Again, that keyword being all is going to make this an invalid statement. However, looking down below, all birds have wings. Just because that keyword is there doesn't make it false. In fact, in order for an animal to be classified as a bird, it must have wings. Now, in the case of penguins or emus or ostriches, yes, those birds can't actually fly with their wings, but they still have wings, which makes them birds. So, again, you need to be looking not just at the words and what's being said, but making sure that you're working it out with your own experience and logic in order to answer whether a generalization is true or false, valid or invalid. Something to be noted, generalizations that are made up about people are called stereotypes. Okay, stereotyping people is generally considered a negative thing to do. When you lump people together under one label and then assume it is true for all people, either within a gender, culture, race, etc., you are ignoring individuality and personal choices. Be aware of this and try not to stereotype people in your writing or in your life. So when talking about making generalizations, it's easy to look at statements and decide whether they're true or untrue or valid or invalid. But you also should be practicing making true and false generalizations on your own so that you can recognize them. Keep this in mind. Get your thinking caps on. We will actually do this back in the classroom. Let's check out generalizations within a reading. So first things first, you all know using your great test-taking skills that what you need to do first is look at the question and the possible answers before diving into a reading. So here's our question. What is the most likely reason many civilizations developed around rivers? We have a number of different answers. People could dispose of their waste in rivers. Well, that's true. Rivers offered people a way to defend their cities. In some cases, that's true as well. Many businesses used rivers to import and export goods. Again, another true statement. And D, the river provided people with water, food, and transportation. Okay, so all of these statements are true. We need to make sure that we read carefully as we're going through this so that we get the correct answer. So here is our excerpt from the River Thames. Rivers have played an important role in human history. Since ancient times, towns, cities, and entire civilizations have thrived around rivers, which provide people with many of life's basic necessities. One such river, the River Thames, has been instrumental in the founding and development of London. Okay, so we want to look through this passage again and look at each of our answers. People could dispose of their waste in rivers. We didn't see anything in here about disposing of waste. Rivers offered people a way to defend their cities. Again, there's nothing in here about defending or wars. C, many businesses use rivers to import and export goods. That, again, is probably absolutely true, but we're talking here about the founding and development. So let's look at D. The river provided people with water, food, and transportation. Well, we know water, food are some of life's basic necessities. So the correct answer here is actually going to be D. Did you get it right? Okay. If you have any questions, your teacher wants to answer them, bring them back to the classroom, and let's chat about them there. Thanks, everyone.